So, Phil Spencer just announced an oopsie. Let's talk about this.
Mistakes were definitely made.
Slim!
Y'all know what day it is? It's bath day.
Hey everybody, what is going on? Brandon here, and I know I didn't upload really anything last week. Myself and my entire family got the flu. Then when I finally got recovered, I recorded like 3 videos, and they all were messed up. I was so livid about it. I haven't had time to re-record them. But this news just dropped yesterday, and I decided to go ahead and talk about it in today's video. And this is basically Xbox dropping the ball. And I don't like to say that because I like Xbox. I like what they've been doing with the platform, how they've been getting away from exclusivity and trying to get all their games on as many platforms as possible and focusing on games as a service. And I've really been liking the direction they've been going. But the announcement that they just made has me thinking that they're not really using their heads very well. And that announcement is that the Scarlett will not have VR support. Now, I will say that it doesn't say 100% that it won't have any VR support. It just says that they're not focusing on VR support, and also that nobody is asking for VR support, so they're not going to focus on it. I think this is just a huge miss, a huge ball drop, in my honest opinion, because it doesn't make sense for the Scarlett to not have VR support. When you really think about it, it makes no sense business-wise, monetary-wise. It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no reason why the Scarlett shouldn't have VR support. And I understand their argument to an extent that the VR community is small, not a lot of people have experienced VR or really are interested in VR, but there's reasons behind that we're starting to see get peeled away. Yes, VR is it's small right now because of how expensive it was to get into it when it initially launched. I mean, VR, getting into it on launch was very expensive, and even now it's still pretty expensive. But we're seeing it become more and more affordable with things like the PlayStation VR, the Oculus Quest, things making it more affordable for the average consumer to try out VR. We're seeing huge sales from the Oculus Quest. The PlayStation VR is still, I think, the highest selling VR headset, and I really dislike a lot of what Sony does, and I dislike what they've been doing with a lot of their VR exclusives, but I can't deny the fact that because they made VR more mainstream and a little bit more inclusive to people, a little bit more affordable, that we're seeing sales come out of it. And it just doesn't make sense to me that Microsoft themselves are not noticing the pattern, that it's not necessarily that people don't want VR, it's that people can't afford VR, and when you make it more affordable, people will buy it and people will try it, especially if they've never tried it and they finally do. A lot of people will jump on board pretty quickly. And this move just doesn't make sense to me. They're essentially throwing away money. Now, I know a lot of people watching this right now are probably wondering, well, how are they throwing away money? It would cost them money to make the headsets. It would cost them money to make the operating system function with VR. Well, I mean, no, not really. If you really think about it, they've got Windows mixed reality headsets. They've got Windows branded VR HMDs already. They've spent millions on getting these things developed. They're first party headsets. So why not go ahead and just take the hardware that you're not selling now, because nobody's buying these Windows HMDs right now. Either if you've got a PC, most people are going with Oculus or Vive. So you have all these headsets that are going for around $100 and $175 brand new out of the store and off the internet. Why not take all this hardware that you've spent all this money on and just rebrand it, throw it in with the Scarlett, and sell it? I mean, you guys have the hardware there to basically spend nothing. You might need to repackage it. That's about it. So you've got the hardware, you've got the software, and just launch it. See if it takes off. Don't even worry about first-party development of games. Let third-party developers handle VR titles. Then just sell all the stuff separately. If you want to sell Xbox-compatible or Scarlett-compatible headsets, sell those headsets like that. See how the market takes off. You don't need to bundle it like you did with the Kinect, but similar to the Kinect, I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. But at least with the Kinect, you spent money on developing that. You've already spent the money here. Why waste it? Go ahead and give the support to the Xbox or to the Project Scarlett. Because guys, you gotta understand, these new consoles next generation, when they come out, they're gonna be around $700+. They're going to be expensive. And that's not me just exaggerating. That's how things work. That's the pattern they followed. Everything goes up in price because the cost of memory is not going down. It's only going up. So based on the specs, we can pretty much tell that the new Xbox and PlayStation are going to be around $700. And even at that price point, Microsoft and Sony are still going to be losing money. So they really need to sell this hardware. So if you're selling a console for around $700 and somebody can build a VR-ready PC for less than $400, you're going to lose out on that market, especially now that you're putting your first-party games on PC. Nobody's going to be buying that hardware. And if people already have a gaming PC, more than likely they're going to be going with Oculus and Vive. So Microsoft's not going to be making the VR money there from their players that are going to PC, because they do decide they want the VR and they don't want to deal with getting another Xbox or spending that much money on Xbox when they can build a PC to play the same games for so much cheaper. So to me, this just is not a good move. Yeah, I don't think that Microsoft needs to be focusing on VR. I don't think they need to be putting a big focus on it, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be into it, especially early on. But I think not having the support there and not making use of all these HMDs you bought out is just, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of an idiotic move. Because as we've seen in the past, the console's launch basically defines the trajectory it's going to take throughout the entire console war of that generation. So we already seen Sony win last generation because they had a better launch than Microsoft. Does anybody remember Microsoft's launch of the Xbox One? It was absolutely horrendous. They were talking about features that nobody wanted, always online, not able to do any kind of game sharing. I think at one point in time they were talking about not even having a disk drive in the damn thing. I mean, there were a lot of people unhappy with Xbox's launch, and that caused them basically to start off losing. And that's not a good direction to take. So why not just start the generation off with your finger in every little piece of the pie to make sure you're covering every piece of the market, you're making everybody happy, you're not just focusing on a small crowd, and then what doesn't work phase out. If the VR doesn't work, it will phase itself out. You won't even have to. Developers will stop developing for it, you won't need to develop it anymore, and just like the Kinect, it will just kind of phase out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you want to at least have that option there to begin with. But guys, that's all the time I got for this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Do you think the Scarlett should have at least some VR support? Do you think, doesn't matter if it has VR support, you wouldn't play it anyway? Let me know in the comments down below. I really want to hear the community's thoughts on this. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please do us a favor and mash that thumbs up button. Unless, of course, you're one of the easily offended snowflakes and you've already mashed that dislike button. I know you did. Anyway, check out some of our stuff over on the left. Check out some of our links down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.